are moved out and the water is lowered, we'll be able to assess the damage fully. Currently, there is some obvious structural damage on the westbound side of things, so right now we're just waiting to grasp a full assessment of the damage before we can really move forward. Any questions?
Yeah, I wanted to ask the canal barge company about how you guys tie those barges down. How are they secured?
Be happy to answer that. So it was a vendor managing the fleet. It was not our own fleet. However, we have a very robust vetting process on our vendors' practices. Each vendor that we do fleeting business with are required to demonstrate to us that they have the proper procedures in place, not only to keep the barges secure, but what they are doing above and beyond that in times of high water, where at times you're likely to see actually double the lines out there. I hope I answered that for you.
Are all the barges yours?
No, sir. Canal Barge Company had 4 barges that were in the breakaway.
You're grouped in with other companies' barges, correct? I mean, in that fleeting yard, it's several companies that barges.
Correct. The fleeting facility does business with many carriers on the river.
Was there any communications with you and the vendor prior to Imelda coming in about extra mooring, extra precautions being taken?
That's our standard hurricane protocol, is to check with our fleeters to make sure that they've taken the proper measures.
What were those? What were those measures?
Typically, it's doubling the lines, making sure that the fleet boats are keeping an eye on the equipment, just to make sure things are as they should be out there in the fleet.
And the company have been informed that has in fact taken place and has been done?
Yes, I believe so. Yes, sir.
Is anything changing as a result of what happened? Are you changing or asking for any procedures to be changed?
So right now it's a bit premature for us to begin investigating for root cause analysis and whatnot. What we are focusing on right now is dedicating our efforts, attention, and resources to removing these barges, and once that's done and we do that safely, after that we'll begin an investigation to make sure things were done well, and if there's anything that we can learn on that and share with our colleagues in the industry, that's what we do.
For the uninitiated, since there seems to be minimal damage to these barges, again, for the uninitiated, why can't you just go in and film them? What's the concern?
Do you want me to field that, Commander?
Or I can take that too. Right, so even though there's minimal damage to the barges, the issue is the barges up underneath the bridge. The current right now is incredibly strong coming through the San Jac River, running at about 6 knots with the water level exceedingly high. In fact, we had the river closed in that portion prior to this event just due to the high water levels in the current. So just being able to tug on a barge in such difficult circumstances as the current and high water is a little more challenging than just being able to do a push or a pull.
So 6 barges floated on underneath, but I imagine they hit some of the bridge when they went through. Have you guys been able to determine how many barges actually slammed into the bridge?
We're unsure of that. We do know of the 2 that are pinned underneath the bridge. TxDOT's been working with evaluating the bridge. I would let you want to talk about what the truck's been able to see or do.
Sure. TxDOT has had what we call a snooper truck, that it has a bucket truck that can go up under the bridge and inspect the bridge. We've been able to do that from the eastbound side of the bridge right now, and we've been able to see some of the westbound side where most of that obvious damage is from the eastbound side. At this point, we're waiting for the barges to be moved to move that truck over to the westbound side so we can ensure the safety of our crews as they work on top of the bridge structure over there. So does that answer your question?
No, I just wanted to know if more barges than 2 would hit the bridge.
We are saying at least 2 barges hit the bridge at this point. That's all we can be certain of. We didn't have eyes on it as it happened.
A ballpark ETA for when you'll be able to go under and see how much damage there actually is?
Once the barges have been removed, which I can let y'all weigh in on, we'll be able to then start assessing all of the damage, which will then begin the planning process and the repair process for the bridge. So we are going to be working as quickly as safely possible to get I-10 open there at San Jacinto Bridge, because we know that is a very important thoroughfare. So that is on the top of TxDOT's priority list right now.
Talking within the next week or days?
We don't have a perfect assessment of the damage right now, so I don't want to spread conjecture right now. At this point, we're waiting to see what the damage fully is, and then we'll be able to get y'all a better estimate.
Well, as we go start with current speed, what's the safe current speed to start getting
So that's something that we're working with the responsible party. We're working also with TxDOT because of where the barges are up underneath the bridge and our salvers to try and establish what's going to be the best option as the current starts to come down and water level comes down to try and move those. That's going to be a process that we're working through overnight tonight. We're going to continue working that process tomorrow with the hope that we're able to start that process tomorrow. There's no promises with that, but that is our hope.
I wanted to ask about the San Jacinto Waste Pit Superfund site and the one barge on the north side of the bridge that I guess landed against the armored cap at that site. Is there any damage or chances of any leakage from it?
So I'd have to refer that aspect of it to EPA. Now, we've been in contact with EPA, and EPA is part of our planning process and part of the response. At this juncture, I don't have confirmation from EPA that it is on or against that cap, but EPA is part of our process when we look to remove that barge.
Maybe this is a question for both TxDOT and the Coast Guard. People who go through that area all the time said, okay, this is the second time we dealt with this in February. Can't you put some bumpers out or anything? Is that possible? Is there any safeguards that can be put up the next time barge does break free and start floating towards the bridge?
TxDOT does have a project in the works right now to add a few more of those buffers and some modern buffers in front of the bridge. So that is something that we're working on, yes.
ETA I mean, obviously that's all been slowed now because of this.
Of course, yes. It's still in the planning process, so I don't have a good time estimate for you at this point.
Any idea how much this is all going to cost and who's going to pay for it?
TxDOT does a typical damage claim. We treat this as we would treat an 18-wheeler hitting an overpass, where we do a damage claim and typically reach out to the responsible party's insurance company to help cover costs.
For the Coast Guard, so just to be clear, none of the products on board the barges got into the water or going into the air?
That's correct. That's correct. The fleet is the San Jac River Fleet. Are there any further questions?
Make sure everybody's spelling is traditional Rodriguez, Joe Tyson, TYSON.
I can work with you on that. So we'll let the Detroit Command get back in contact. If you have any additional questions,